Okay, so let me get my screen all kind of situated. Here we go. Okay, so the low income report, in order to do verification, this is kind of the steps in CARS for when it to open up. So whenever your low income report, it must be approved by our office. Once that is approved, then you can do your November claim. And then once you do your November claim, you must, again, remember to submit and submit it and to certify it. We've been having a lot of issues that people were submitting they went to each site and submitted it, but at the very end, you have to certify your entire claim. So make sure you submit and certify that. Then after you do your November claim, after you submit it and certify it, then your verification summary will be open. That's when you can do this report. This will be in the CAR system, in the checklist, just like everything else. Then again, you can do your verification summary report. And then once you complete your verification summary report, then you can do your December claim. So again, all these steps is what opens each claim at this point in time. So it gets very confusing about why and when you can do certain things. Now, I have been gone. This is my first day back in a couple of weeks. So there may be if you have some questions about certain things, maybe that have happened while I was gone, then I'll have somebody kind of jump on and answer those questions, because I don't know if anything has changed with anything since I've been out when it comes to some of the timelines on some of this information. Okay, so the verification summary. So just as a reminder, if you did verification, you were to start verification on October 1st. And then after you do verification, we really say you need to, in the process to be more fair, or you have to complete the whole entire process by November 15th. So really by November 10th, you should have contacted the households that have not responded to those that did not respond to verification. Then you had the 10 days, to calendar days to send that adverse action and terminate those benefits. And then again, this whole thing was done by November 15th. Jill, I am not for sure. Make sure it's certified. It won't open up. It should open up immediately after your claim has been certified. So if you just submitted your claim, if you did not certify it, then it should open up. If you are still having problems, then contact our office, and then it should open up once it is certified. Because that's what was happening with the low income report. Some people were like, well, I did my claim, they submitted it, but they didn't certify it. Oh, and it is certified as well. Okay. Let me check into this. I'll try and get that before we end the presentation. I'll see if Edgar or I think Becky's going to be jumping on today, and I can have Becky answer that question. Because again, I'm sorry, I've been gone, so I was not aware of any changes, of anything like that might have happened. Okay, so verification, again, it is required if you do collect applications or if you're in a provision 2 or 3 base year, because if you're in a base year, you are getting your applications, or you're having those filled out. And if you have not started the verification process, it is required. So even if you didn't start it yet and you're like, oh, I didn't get to it, you still are required to do it. So if you haven't done it yet, you're still required to do verification. So we would tell you to start now, and you would follow the same process. You would have 45 days from beginning to end. And again, the verification report must be completed before you can submit your December claim. So you will not be able to claim for December until the verification report is done. And again, I will make sure, I'll keep checking the chat to see if we have some people on that can answer questions to see why it may not be working yet. And it hasn't opened yet either. Okay, I do know I have some people on here. Let me see who I have on here. Could Sherry or somebody, or Rhonda, can you guys let us know what the issue might be, why it's not opening up if they did submit it and certify? Can you find that out, and we can answer those questions in the chat? Because it may be an issue, like I said, I've been out, so it may be something that they know about, or it could be something that we don't know about. So I'm glad that you guys are letting us know about the situation. So we will get it figured out and let you know before the presentation ends. Even if I have to get up myself and go look. Okay, and yours is open, so good. And maybe it could be if you are a provision school, if you have some sites that are provision, it could be because we don't have that information yet that we are still needing to do, but we'll check into that. If you could let me know in the chat what schools you are with that you submitted and certified your claim and it is not open. if it's not opening. If you are opening, we don't need to know, but if it is not opening so we can dig into it further, that'd be fantastic. So verification, again, is not required. So if you're not getting applications, it's not required. So if you're a school or RCCI and all children are certified under direct certification, eligible or documented by eligibility by foster, migrant, runaway, you do not get applications, because what you're doing with verification is you're just verifying a handful of applications or 3% of the applications that you did receive. If you're an RCCI and you do not just have day students, if you're a school electing for CEP, and if you are a CEP school, remember, you're not allowed to get applications. So if you are CEP, you cannot get applications. If you are a school, again, if you're doing the universal meal service, so it's basically, we don't really have anybody that's at school or ICCI that goes by the data and the socioeconomic, but this is stuff that came directly from USDA. It is also not required to do verification for schools in which all children are served with no separate charge for food service or no special cash assistance. All schools that are provision 2 or 3 in a non-base year, again, that you are not getting. Okay, thank you, Rhonda. So I did know that, but so if you are partial CEP or provision, then that might be a situation of why you're not able to get it. So if you're not able to open up your claim, or if it's not opening up after you certify and submit, and you are partially provision or CEP, then put your school in the chat again, and we will go and figure out why it might be not opening up. Schools which do not have any free or reduced eligible students, or other FNS exemptions on a case by case. So really, again, if you're getting applications, you do need to be doing the verification summary report. Actually, everybody has to do the report, but just have to do verification. So again, so you see the low income report where it was located in CARS. So now we're going to open up the verification summary report. So that's going to be the next one. As you can see here on the screen, you're going to click on this again. Keep everything in CARS, which makes it much, much helpful. So when we're filling out the summary, there are application tabs. I'll show you where those are located. The report has 5 different sections, and you're going to have to fill out all sections. All SFAs, again, that took applications, you have to fill out all the sections, and that's everybody on here. Really, if you are partially CEP provision, or if all your schools you did take applications in, you will fill out all tabs. Again, for this afternoon, that will be if your all sites are CEP or provision and you did not take applications because you're not in a base year. So this is where the tabs are located right here at the top. So we start with applications. So we have application summary section 1 and 2, summary section 3 and 4, and then summary section 5. So let me make sure I'm on the right slide, because this is where I'm going to start reading everything to you about what you do to fill out the low income report. So again, we talked about the slides. We talked about, so on the top of it where it says applications, that's going to be the first one that we talk about. And so every application that you verified, you have to insert here. So what you will do is in the first column. So in item number 3, the drop down is where the select the statement that best represents how the application was originally approved. So you make sure that you select the one that how it was originally approved. So right here, was it free, reduced by SNAP, foster child, reduced? How was it originally approved? In item number 4, you're going to select from the drop-down menu the statement that best represents the result that came in from the verification process. So some of them may have changed because of verification, but some of your applications are going to remain the same. Now, I believe here in this first column, once you have that, I can't tell on here. Okay, so in the ID, enter the application, the ID number. And that is whatever you do at your school. You may have just done like 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe you had like 4 applications to do. Maybe it's a certain application number. You can put that information right there. And then the number right here in the second column, that is the number of students on that application. So maybe this is your application 5562, because that's the way your system numbers it. So you can put that there, or however you want to identify it. And then how many kids were on that application. And then again, how was it originally approved? And then in column number 4, it says select from the drop down. So in number 3, what was the original benefit? of that application. And then at number 4, select the item from the drop down that best just represents what happened. Maybe they didn't respond, or, you know, no changes. So that's what you will do in that application. Now in section 1, right here, section 1 is everybody has to fill this part out. It's how many students, I'm sorry, it's how many students are on there. Very good question. So it'll be how many students, because that is information that we will take a look at, because you may have maybe did 4 applications, but it was say 10 students total. So you'll put the number of students. So thank you. Very good question. So in section 1, above is an example of what the form may look like once the numbers are in. All SFAs with schools or RCIs operating the National School Lunch and or School Breakfast Program must complete this section, even if you're exempt from doing this report. In 1-1 column, A and B is the total number of schools with access to the National School Lunch and School Breakfast Program. So in top what, and right here it says how many total schools are at your district, or number of RCCIs. In column 1-2, in column A, it's the total number of RCCIs participating. So most of you are going to put 0 if you're not an RCCI. I would say you would use I would go ahead and use your October 1st, just because that's what you did I would do that because that's what you did for your verification. We need to, because it kind of lets us know to make sure that you selected the correct amount for verification. So that's what this report does. So it's all about the verification. So I would definitely say what you used for your verification process. I would put that there. And then in column 1-2, in column 1-2B, is the total number of enrolled students with access to the school breakfast or school lunch in RCCIs. So number 1 will not go for many of you. This is going to be only for RCCIs, which we have like maybe 10 of them, but 1 lunchroom. You would go by site. I would do it by sites, which I know it gets very confusing, but I would put in there how many sites that you have by accreditation. And then in number 1-2, or I'm sorry, number 1-1, I apologize, is for all schools. So I will go ahead and tell you guys, I was out of the country for 2 weeks and I was supposed to come back on the 29th and came back yesterday. So I'm so tired. So I apologize in advance. I'm just kind of out of it today. So I'm here, but I may say some things that goof up just a little bit. So I will get it straightened out. But I was out for a while and I am very tired today. So in number 1 is all schools. So most of you will be filling out 1-1. Now, number 2 is for our RCCIs. Our RCCIs, again, I think we have like 10 to 15 of them in the state. You would know if you're an RCCI, it's like our juvenile detention centers. It's that kind of those facilities. So 1-1 is your schools. Or districts that are on the school lunch, school breakfast program, how many sites that you have by accreditation, and your total number of students. So many of you will all just do 1-1. If you are an RCCI, you will fill out the bottom section, which is number 2. We have some 1-2. We have some that are with day students and some that have no day students. So you will fill out the one that's according to your RCCI. Oh, thank you, Michelle. I appreciate that. So again, 1-1 is for all schools. If you are only a school and you're not an RCCI at all, you just fill out the very top section. So, and then when you are complete with that, always make sure, like I did forget to mention this on the first slide, when you enter each application, so you have every application that you hear, let's just say you had to verify 4 applications, every application that you put in here, make sure that you hit insert. If you don't hit insert, it will drop it down here right below it. If you don't hit insert, this page will be blank. You would use your student count from October. I would use your student count, the one that you use for verification. So it would probably be your highest eligibles, I would say, on October 31st. I think someone asked October 1st. It would be, I would probably say your October 31st. And I don't know if Becky is on here, because I would see if she could answer that question, but I do, to see if it's the 31st. Perfect. Thank you, Becky. Awesome. Thank you so much. Yay. Thank you. So we had a question. We had some schools that they were stating that one, they couldn't open up the report. So I was going to have them put their name in here too. And then another question that we had is, won't it be from their October 31st numbers when it comes to on right here on the total number of students? It will be from October 31st. Because that's what they used for that's what they used for verification. So, okay, okay, thank you. Perfect. That's what I thought, but I wasn't 100% sure. I was second guessing myself. Okay, so that is column section 1 that you fill out. So after you do section 1, make sure that you save everything. Always make sure that you save, so that way it will submit to us. Because if you don't save it, it's going to all show blank information. So on section 2, this is for, again, all SFAs or schools that, and all schools and or RCCIs operating under the provision 1, 2, or 3 or CEP. So that's who will fill out this. We will fill out this section right here. So let's go to section 2 of the verification report. So in 2-1 through 2-4 should be reported only if the school operates provision or both programs. So if you have number of schools operating in provision 2 or 3, if you are in a base year, we'll go here. So if you are in a base year, you'll give your information for the school breakfast here. It's the number of schools and then the number of students. Now in 2-2, this is if you're in a non-base year. So a base year in provision 2 and provision 3 is when you are collecting applications. In a non-base year, you are not collecting applications. So again, make sure if you are participating in any of these, provision 2, you're filling up the correct 2-1, 2-2, 2-3, 2-4, or 2-5, and you're filling out the correct section. So again, a base year, meaning that you're collecting applications, you'll fill out the top one. And then it does 2-2, it looks like it's grayed out, so it could auto-populate. It says operating in CEP, you do 2-3. If you're operating any other alternatives for NSLP, which I don't think we have anybody that would be doing 2-4. And then we do have some school, I think we have one school that they only do, I think we have 2. We have one school that only participates in the school breakfast program and one in the National School Lunch, but I don't know if they're provision. So if you are one of those, you would fill out this bottom one. So most of you are going to fill out either 2-1 or 2-2, or you will also fill out 2-3. If you are partially CEP or provision, make sure you fill out this information. So provision 2-3 students, if you're in the non-base year, again, we knew how many are free in the non-base year and how many are reduced in that non-base year. And Becky, I'll let you answer Emmett with his question about provision. And I will say, if you are provision, you have to have an application with us. You can't just do provision on your own. You have to have an application to be able to, if you're wanting to do a base year, you have to have an application. If not, you're normal counting and claiming. Okay, so in section 3, oops, let's see here. I think I have somebody unmuted. Let me make sure that they are muted. Oh, here we go. Okay, there we go. Get you muted. Okay, so in section 3, all essays must respond in 3-1. So 3-1, check the box if all the schools or RCCIs were not required to perform direct certification with SNAP. So we should not have anybody everybody should be doing direct certification. So no one should be checking 3.2. Students directly certified. So when we talk about direct certification again is when we talk about, let me make sure I'm saying it right, directly certified. So again, this is the report that you pull from the WAVE, okay? So direct certification on section 3 is the one that you pull from the WAVE. So in 3-2, it says, do not include students certified with SNAP through the letter method, which I don't really know if we see anybody that does a letter method. This should be those that come from the WAVE. So again, students that are directly certified. In 3-3, students directly certified through any other program. So maybe you have a FITBR, maybe you get a list from a tribe, maybe you have a migrant homeless runaway list, you'll put that information here. But again, this is the students that are directly certified. In 3-4, students categorically free eligible through SNAP letter method. And again, I don't know if we see any of that anymore, but if you do happen to get a letter, so they did not show up on the wave, but the family gave you a letter from DHS, then that would go in 3-4. So if it came from the wave, they're going to go in 3-2. And again, in 3-3 is from any other way it was directly certified. So that could be from a tribe. If you did FITBR, it could be the homeless runaway list. Maybe you have somebody that works at your list at your school that can pull foster kids from you. So anything like that, that would go in 3-3. Okay. Now in section 4, again, all SFAs with schools and or RCCIs that collect individual household applications must report in this section, including schools and or RCCIs in your base year. So again, if you collected applications, then you would put it here in section 4. So let's talk about section 4 just a little bit, make sure I'm on the right page. Okay, so in this slide is an example of how your section 4 of your verification report may look like. All SFAs with schools and or RCIs collecting individual household applications must report this section, including schools and RCCIs in a base year. So that means, again, you are collecting applications. Report number of applications in column A approved as of October 1st. So in A, make sure it is as of October 1st. Report number of students in column B as in October 31st. So A is October 1st and column B is October 31st. In column 4-1, column A, number of applications approved for free based on documentation submitted on an application. So maybe they had SNAP, they put TANF on there, and it's what you had on file, again, as of October 1st. And then 4-1, so remember, you may have some kids that they give you an application and they put a SNAP number on there, but they do not show up on the wave. That's where it goes, is on here, because they were not on the wave, so they were not directly certified. They're going to come here, and then this is where you're going to put that they were categorical. In 4-1 column B, the number of students as of the last operating day of October. So again, that is on October 31st. And again, if it's a case number, SNAP, TANF, FITBR, include students in the SFA deemed eligible due to extended categorical eligibility. So let's just say that you had one person that maybe you had to, when you extend it to all of them, make sure all the student numbers are on here. So maybe one person had the SNAP, you would include all of the extended categorical eligibility. And then in 4-2 is the number of applications approved free eligible based on income. So again, 4-2 or 4-1 is categorical free. So SNAP, TANF, FITBR, not on direct cert. This was because it's based on the application that they gave you. And in 4-2, this is going to be your free kids if they're free based on income. And then in 4-3 is approved by reduced. And again, in column A, it's by October 1st, and B is October 31st is where you're going to get these numbers. And then down here where it says T1 and T2, that will automatically calculate for you. So if schools are operating in provision for one program and collecting household applications for another program, the district should report applicable provision data in 2-5. And then again, T1 and T2, this automatically calculates, which is great for you. So it will automatically calculate. You don't have to enter anything in there. Yes, you can print these slides out. We actually will send them again when we send out your certificate, but we did send this out. We'll send out the slides one page at a time, and they're also in other documents. So you will be able to get these slides to help you fill this out. So in the verification summary in section 5, identifies if all schools and or RCCIs are exempt from verification, which none of you guys will check that box because you guys had to do verification. It's only for those that are provision CEP and did not take any applications. They're in a non-base year. So you guys will not check that box. In 5-2, was verification performed and completed on time? And we'll kind of show through this. 5.3 is the type of verification that you did. And 4 is the total number of error-prone applications, which you should have that information, and total number of applications selected for verification. So we're going to go through each one of those. I do not talk about 5.1 because, again, you guys all did verification. You guys are, you took applications, so you had to do verification. Even if it's just partially, you still had to do the verification process. And I'll talk about 5-1 this afternoon for those that are in their non-base year provision or CEP. So in section 2, the SFA indicates whether verification was performed and completed by the deadline. Please be honest with this because we've had some people that they said that they did it and we go out there and they didn't do it. So be honest. So yes, you did complete it by the 15th. Maybe you did not, maybe you're just now finishing it up. So if you did not complete it by the 15th, please just put, yes, you did complete it, but it was after the 15th. If you did not do verification, you did not do it at all, then please mark that. But again, if you have not started it yet, you did not do verification, but you were supposed to do verification, please start it because it is required. So, and you have 45 days, you'll just kind of use the same timeline that they would do it before, but you have 45 days to do verification. But please make sure you answer this correctly because I will be honest, it drove me crazy. It seemed like one school every year that never did verification, and I'd go out there to do a review and they would mark yes that they did verification when they did not do verification. So just please be honest with that. Okay, the verification report summary in 5-3. If verification was completed, check the type of verification. So if you did most of you are going to do standard, and that's the one where you do 3%, and it has to come from error-prone applications first. And then if you didn't have enough error-prone applications, you select whatever you want. Most of you do that one. That's the normal one that you do. Now, the other one, alternate 1 and alternate 2, this is the one that if you had an 80% response rate the year before, you're allowed to do alternate 1 or alternate 2. If you were never sure about the 80% response rate, then you need to do standard. But again, just let us know what type of verification that you did. Again, most of you are going to do standard. And again, the only way you can do alternate 1 or alternate 2 is if you did have an 80% response rate. And alternate 1 is just selecting it's 3%, but just the applications were random. And then again, the alternate 2 is that you only do 1.5%. And it comes from, one comes from SNAP and TANF and FITPER, and the other come from error prone. So, but most of you will do standard, but this just lets us know if you're confused by which one you did, just reach out to us. And we can help you out. If you use your computer system, again, most of that's going to be standard because they should be pulling from your error prone first. Now, in the verification report, summary section 5-4, enter the total number of error-prone applications. So we do need to know how many of your applications that you did have were error-prone. So let's just say that you had to do 7 applications and 5 of those were error-prone. This is what we need to know. This gives us all the information that we need because when this says 5 and you had to pull 7, then that lets us know that you had 2 other randoms that you could put. But we do need to know how many total error-prone applications that you had approved as of October. And then in the summary section 5-5, this is the number of applications selected for verification. So how many did you have to do for verification? And then in 5-6, check the box if direct verification was not conducted. Now, most of you are going to check this box. You're going to check that you did not do direct verification. So we have direct certification that comes from the wave. You pull up the wave lib, those kids are directly certified. This is direct verification. Direct verification is when you have an application and you have, say, a child on the application that they put a SNAP number on there, but they're not showing up on the wave. So what you do is you reach out to the family for verification to verify that application. And you also send something to DHS to verify. You're sending something directly to the agency, or maybe it's a tribe. You're sending something, they put, say, a FITPR number on there. So you reach out to the tribe and ask them if they do receive FITPR benefits. So most of you are going to check no, that you did not reach out to an agency to find out if they still get that information, if they still get the SNAP, if they still get FITPR. So most of you are going to put no. So direct verification, again, you pulled an application for verification, and you're going to directly go to the state agency and ask them, hey, are they still receiving this benefit? It is great to do if you do pull an application that has a FITPR number or SNAP, that you could reach out to the family and to the state agency, because you have a better chance of somebody responding. But if you did not reach out to the agency, then you did not do direct verification. People get very confused between direct verification and direct certification. So again, most of you are going to click this box because you did not do direct verification. And then in section 5-7, 5 and 7 in columns A and B, you'll enter the applications and students if free or reduced eligibility is confirmed through direct verification. And again, most of you will not be doing this because you did not reach out to the agency. Again, direct verification is not the same thing as direct certification. So you will be most of you will not be doing 5-6 or 5-7. Okay, and then in 5-8, let me make sure I'm on the right one. I think my page is flipped on me. Give me just a second. Sorry about that. I was reading the screen. Okay, 5-8. Verification must be complete for this part of the report. We will be going over each part of 5-8. First, I need to define what responded and did not responded means. So responded is the household provided sufficient documentation. This includes verbal or written notification that the household, even if they declined benefits. If they responded to you, that's what responded means. If they said, hey, I don't want to send my information to you, they responded. Even if their things change, if they responded to you to let you know, like, hey, I'm not going to send you anything, if they tell you that. Now, if they just don't respond to you, they don't send you anything, they don't call you, they don't do anything, that's not responded. They don't send you any information, they don't call you, that's not responded. But if, say, they were free and they called and say, yeah, we don't make that amount anymore, I'm paid, I don't make that amount anymore. If they just tell you that, they responded to verification. So you can count that as a response. So under column A, put in the number of applications with no changes. So let's just say that the application was free. They sent you the documentation, it remains free. There was no change in the application. Under column B, put in the number of students on that application. And number 2, under column A, it's the number of applications that changed from reduced price based on sufficient documentation provided by the household. And then under column B is the number of students on the application based on sufficient documentation provided by that household. In question 2C, under column A, it's the number of applications that changed to free based on documentation provided by the household. Do I see a 2C? Oh, yes, up at the very top. So you have A, B, and C at the very, very top. And then in questions 3, A, B, and C, under column A, it's the number of applications for which eligibility was changed to paid based on sufficient documentation by the household. In column B, the number of students on the application that changed to paid based on the sufficient documentation to the household. And then in question 4, under column A, is the number of applications for which eligibility was changed to paid because they did not respond to verification. Nothing was provided. Under column B, the number of students on the application that changed to paid because, again, documentation necessary to complete the verification process was not provided. So one is they changed to paid because they responded to you and just said, hey, we don't make that amount anymore. But one is they just do not give you any information. Now, I will say, if say a family, just so you a reminder on this, let's say you have a family that was selected for verification, and they were selected for verification and didn't respond to you at all. And then you move them to paid. Say they were free, you move them to paid because they did not respond. If they did not respond because they were pulled for verification this year, if they decide to send you another application, then they have to give you verification information. They have to give you the documents that were required at verification in order for you to reapprove that application. So we've seen it before. They'll be free. They don't respond, so you move them to paid. And then about a month later, they'll send you another application saying that they're free, but the only way you can approve that application for free is they have to give you the documentation that was required during the verification process. It's for the whole year. Now, next year, you won't need the documentation, but you cannot change from paid to anything else unless they give you the documentation that you required at verification. And we are done with today's verification report. We will send this out again. We'll send out the slides so that way you can make it an easier step-by-step. Luckily, I will be honest, like the verification report, it does have the instructions on there. So I hope this was a good refresher. And again, I apologize. I'm a little bit out of it today. So I still sleep a little bit. It's been quite the last couple of days. So, but again, we're here to answer any questions that you might have. It's just kind of, again, a step-by-step of how to go through it. There's a couple things that get people hooked up on, like the direct certification versus direct verification. So again, if you know that you didn't do verification, mark no on there, so that way you don't respond to that. So I hope it made it just a little bit easier for you for when you're doing your verification summary report. Would you like me to put back on the page of the timeline? I can do that. Again, remember to submit and certify. Once your November claim has been submitted and certified, then your verification summary report should pop up. So if you guys have any other questions, we are done. You are free to go, but we will stick around for some questions. And again, thank you guys so much for being on with us today. We really appreciate it. And again, I immensely am sorry about my hiccuping at the very beginning. I'm still trying to get used to the Central Standard Time. Yes, let me post. Let me post that. And I'm sorry, there's no other easier way to do it. I have to just kind of click through all of it. So let me click back through the timeline of how. Oops, did I go too far? I think I went too far. Oh, here's the steps. I'm sorry. Here's the steps. So the low income report must be approved. I'm sorry. So it must be approved. And then your November claim must be submitted and certified. Then your verification summary report will be open. So there was a couple of people I forgot at the very beginning. So again, this is the timeline of when it will open up your verification summary report. And again, every school district has to fill this out. Kendra, I would say yes. You would use your 3 sites. It's on your accredited sites. Yes. That's a very good question, Amy. If they responded after the deadline, it did not count as a response, unfortunately, because it was after it was over. I have a family that was selected for verification. They returned information at the time and remained free. That's all you need to do. Very good question, Linda. Yeah, you did the right thing. And that can happen at any time. If you are ever aware of a family in a situation that say they were selected for verification, they gave you the information, maybe they were reduced, and then something happened, they can fill out another application. They already did verification, so they don't have to send in any other documents. Tara, I guess I don't understand. So are you provision or are you, let me see, in section 2. Get to my section 2. Oh, if you're not provision, just leave that as zeros. Yes, just leave that as zeros. I had to go look at to see what that was. Lisa, I don't think that, let me see. I don't think it does. Do you know of it, Becky? It doesn't have to match, it does not. I mean, we don't double check that with the low income report, do we? On T1 and T2? But I'm also not on the side that approves these either, so. Look at the T1, T2. Do we have any more questions on the claim? And again, thank you guys all for joining. Unless you have questions, we are done. So you are good to go. And we'll stick around as long to make sure we answer everybody's questions. Thank you, Leanne. It's good to be back. It's just been a whirlwind. All right, you guys have a great rest of the week.